Have you ever felt undervalued, overlooked, or not given the respect you deserve? It could be at work, in relationships, or even from those closest to you. You've tried to prove your worth, but the harder you try, the more frustrated you become. The truth is, respect is not something you can beg for or force from others. It comes from within, how you think, how you act, and how you carry yourself in life. The great Stoic philosophers left us with 9 powerful lessons that not only earn you respect but also cultivate unshakable inner peace. Backhand index pointing right. Are you ready to stop being overlooked and start commanding respect effortlessly? Backhand index pointing right. Apply these timeless principles today and transform your life into the strongest, most confident, and most admirable version of yourself. Compassion, the wisdom of the Stoic heart. Have you ever met someone who radiated a quiet strength, a person who remained calm in the face of conflict, who listened without judgment, who made you feel truly seen? That person wasn't weak, nor were they passive. They embodied one of the greatest virtues of Stoic philosophy, compassion. But Stoic compassion isn't the sentimental, overly emotional kind that people often mistake for weakness. It is wisdom in action. It is the ability to recognize suffering, both in ourselves and in others, without allowing it to cloud our judgment. It is the strength to respond with patience and understanding rather than anger or resentment. True compassion is not about fixing others but about seeing them clearly, accepting their flaws, and creating space for respect to grow naturally. The Stoics understood that life is hard. We all suffer. We all carry burdens, some visible, some hidden beneath layers of pride or fear. When someone lashes out at you, when they speak out of anger or disrespect, their words are often a reflection of their own struggles, their own internal battles. A Stoic does not take offense easily because they understand this fundamental truth: pain is universal, and people often act from a place of suffering rather than malice. Take Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers and emperors in history. He ruled with wisdom, not cruelty. Despite the immense power he held, he did not seek revenge on those who wronged him. Instead, he reminded himself, whenever you are about to find fault with someone, ask yourself the following question: what fault of mine most resembles the one I am about to criticize? He knew that we are all flawed, and that to judge others harshly is to deny our own imperfections. So how do we embody Stoic compassion in our daily lives? It starts with self-awareness. We must first acknowledge our own weaknesses, our own moments of frustration, insecurity, and fear. Only when we accept ourselves fully can we extend the same understanding to others. Next comes listening. The modern world is filled with noise. Everyone wants to be heard, but few take the time to truly listen. A Stoic listens not to respond, but to understand. When we listen deeply, without judgment or the need to win a conversation, we create trust and mutual respect. Finally, it requires letting go of control. We cannot force others to change. We cannot dictate how they should feel or behave. But we can control how we respond. When someone is rude or disrespectful, we can choose not to react in kind. Instead, we can meet their anger with calm, their ignorance with patience, their hostility with wisdom. This is the true power of Stoic compassion. Compassion is not weakness. It is strength. It is the foundation of respect, the key to meaningful relationships, and the mark of a truly wise person. When you master it, you don't just gain the respect of others, you gain peace within yourself. The power of right speech, when to speak and when to stay silent. Words are powerful. They can build trust, mend relationships, and inspire change. But they can also destroy reputations, fuel conflict, and leave wounds deeper than any physical blow. The Stoics understood this well. They believed that mastering one's speech is one of the greatest indicators of wisdom and self-control. Most people speak without thinking. They react instead of respond. Someone offends them, and they immediately lash out. Someone disagrees with them, and they argue just to prove a point. But a true Stoic does not waste words. They speak only when their words serve a purpose, when they add value, bring clarity, or express truth with kindness. Take the example of Epictetus, the former slave turned Stoic philosopher. He lived in a world where words had the power to elevate or enslave, to free or to condemn. Yet, he taught that speech should be deliberate and measured. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak, he reminded his students. The ability to pause, reflect, and choose words wisely is a sign of true inner strength. But right speech is not just about what we say, it is also about when we remain silent. Not every insult requires a response. Not every debate is worth engaging in. Knowing when to hold our tongue is an act of discipline, a way to preserve energy and diffuse unnecessary tension. Many arguments are not about truth, they are about ego. Engaging in pointless disputes only drains us and feeds the illusion that being right is more important than being wise. Imagine a heated argument at work. A coworker accuses you of something unfairly. The instinctive reaction might be to fire back, to defend yourself aggressively. But the Stoic approach is different. Pause. Breathe. Ask yourself, will this argument lead to a productive outcome? Will my words create understanding, or will they only escalate the conflict? Often, the best response is calmness, not confrontation. This does not mean we should always remain silent. Truth must be spoken, but it must be spoken with intention. If someone is spreading misinformation, if injustice is occurring, the Stoic does not shy away from speaking up. But they do so with clarity, with dignity, and without letting emotion dictate their words. Right speech is a skill, one that requires patience, self-awareness, and a deep understanding of human nature. When we master it, we not only gain the respect of others but also gain control over ourselves. We become unshakable in the face of insults, immune to petty conflicts, and wise in the way we navigate the world. So before you speak, ask yourself, is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? If the answer is no, perhaps silence is the better path. The power of mindfulness, finding strength in the present moment. In a world full of distractions, emotional triggers, and endless noise, mindfulness is a superpower. It is the ability to remain fully present, to observe life without being swept away by fleeting emotions. For the Stoics, mindfulness was not just a relaxation technique, it was a way of life, a path to true resilience and inner strength. Most people react impulsively to life's challenges. They allow anger, fear, or frustration to dictate their actions. A rude comment ruins their day. A single failure makes them question their worth. But a Stoic does not give their power away so easily. Instead, they pause. They observe their thoughts and emotions without becoming enslaved by them. They master the art of responding rather than reacting. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, understood this well. As Emperor of Rome, he faced endless criticism, betrayals, and conflicts. Yet, he remained composed. He reminded himself daily that external events have no control over his mind, only he does. He wrote in his meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. This is the essence of Stoic mindfulness, recognizing that our thoughts and emotions are separate from who we truly are. When we become the observer of our own minds, we gain the ability to remain calm even in the face of disrespect, hardship, or chaos. Imagine someone cuts you off in traffic. The immediate reaction might be anger, your pulse quickens, your jaw tightens, and a string of harsh words comes to mind. But in that moment, you have a choice. You can let the frustration take over and ruin your mood, or you can pause, observe the emotion, and let it pass. The Stoic chooses the latter. They recognize that getting angry does nothing but harm themselves. Mindfulness is not about suppressing emotions. It is about understanding them without letting them control you. It is about creating space between stimulus and response, allowing wisdom to guide your actions rather than impulses. Think of a deep, still lake. When the wind blows, the surface ripples, but the depths remain untouched. This is the Stoic mind, calm, steady, and unshaken by temporary disturbances. Through mindfulness, we cultivate this steadiness. We learn to let go of what we cannot control, and focus only on what we can, our thoughts, our actions, and our attitude. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, frustrated, or disrespected, pause. Breathe. Observe your thoughts without judgment. Remind yourself that you are not your emotions, you are the one watching them. And in that awareness lies your true power. The strength in forgiveness, reclaiming your inner peace. Forgiveness is often misunderstood. Many see it as a sign of weakness, an act of surrender. But in reality, forgiveness is an act of immense strength. It is the conscious decision to free ourselves from the chains of resentment, to let go of the poison that anger drips into our hearts. The Stoics understood this well. Holding on to grudges does nothing but harm the one who carries them. Imagine walking through life with a heavy stone in your hands, one for every betrayal, every harsh word, every wound from the past. Over time, the weight becomes unbearable. Your hands ache, your back bends, and yet, you refuse to let go. Why? Because the mind convinces you that holding on somehow gives you control. But the truth is, it only burdens you. Forgiveness is the moment you decide to drop the stone. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, believed that anger and resentment were self-inflicted wounds. He wrote, "The greatest revenge is not to be like your enemy." In other words, when we refuse to let go of anger, we allow those who wronged us to control our emotions. We surrender our peace to them. But when we forgive, we reclaim our power. This applies not only to others but also to ourselves. How often do we punish ourselves for past mistakes? We replay failures in our minds, drowning in regret. But regret does not change the past. It only poisons the present. The Stoics teach us that mistakes are not life sentences, they are lessons. To forgive ourselves is to accept our imperfections and use them as fuel for growth. Consider Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor of Rome. He ruled over a vast empire, facing betrayal, war, and personal loss. Yet, he did not let bitterness consume him. Instead, he reminded himself, it is not the actions of others that disturb us, but our interpretation of them. This is the key to forgiveness, the realization that we control how much power we give to someone else's actions. Forgiving does not mean forgetting. It does not mean excusing wrongdoing or allowing toxic people to remain in our lives. It means refusing to let resentment dictate our emotions. It means choosing peace over pain, clarity over chaos. The next time anger or bitterness rises within you, pause. Ask yourself, is this serving me? If not, let it go. Because true strength is not in holding on, it is in knowing when to release. And in that release, you will find something priceless: freedom. The power of letting go, finding strength in non-attachment. We spend so much of our lives chasing things: success, wealth, approval, security, believing that once we attain them, we will finally be at peace. But the truth is, the more we attach ourselves to external outcomes, the more fragile our peace becomes. Non-attachment is not about indifference, it's about freedom. It is about understanding that true strength lies in our ability to remain steady, no matter what happens around us. The Stoics believed that suffering comes not from events themselves but from our attachment to them. We suffer because we cling to expectations, to control, to things we believe we cannot live without. But life is unpredictable. The job we worked so hard for might slip through our fingers. The relationship we invested in might end. The recognition we crave may never come. If our happiness is tied to these things, then we are at their mercy. Epictetus, a former slave turned philosopher, knew this well. He taught that we should approach life the way a guest approaches a banquet. Take what is offered, enjoy it, but do not grasp at it desperately. Never say of anything, "I have lost it," but, "I have returned it." He reminds us that nothing is truly ours, not our possessions, not our status, not even the people we love. Everything in life is borrowed, and someday, we will have to give it back. This does not mean we should not strive, love, or care. It means we should do so without attachment to the outcome. If we work hard, we should take pride in the effort, not just the reward. If we love, we should love fully, without needing control or certainty. If we detach from the result and focus on the process, we become unshakable. Imagine standing in the ocean, trying to hold on to a handful of water. The tighter you grip, the faster it slips through your fingers. But if you relax your hand, the water rests gently in your palm. This is non-attachment. It allows us to enjoy what we have while it is here, but not despair when it is gone. Non-attachment also shields us from the opinions of others. How much of our energy is spent worrying about approval? We mold ourselves to fit expectations, fearing rejection. But the Stoics remind us that other people's opinions are beyond our control. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. The moment we stop seeking validation, we reclaim our peace. We become untouchable, not because we do not care, but because we know our worth is not dependent on external forces. So, let go, not of ambition, not of love, but of the illusion that your happiness depends on things outside yourself. Focus on what you can control: your actions, your thoughts, your attitude. And in that surrender, you will discover something incredible: freedom. The strength in humility, a Stoic's guide to true greatness. Humility is often misunderstood. Many mistake it for weakness, for stepping back, for making oneself small. But the Stoics saw humility not as submission, but as power, the kind of power that comes from knowing oneself deeply, recognizing one's limitations, and valuing others. It is the quiet confidence of a person who does not need to prove their worth, because they already understand it. To be truly great, we must first acknowledge how little we know. Socrates, often considered a spiritual predecessor of Stoicism, famously said, "The only true wisdom is in knowing that you know nothing." This is not self-deprecation, it is an awareness that no matter how much we learn, there will always be more. When we embrace this truth, we open ourselves to growth. Instead of clinging to ego, we cultivate curiosity. Instead of seeing others as competition, we see them as teachers. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world at his time, constantly reminded himself of his own insignificance. Despite being emperor, he wrote in Meditations about the fleeting nature of power and how one's legacy is often forgotten within a few generations. He understood that greatness is not in titles or achievements, but in character. He led with humility, because he knew that true leadership is about service, not dominance. In today's world, where self-promotion and status-seeking dominate, humility is rare. We are conditioned to believe that success is about being seen, about proving ourselves, about getting ahead. But the most respected and impactful people are not those who shout the loudest, they are those who listen, who lift others up, who recognize that their strength is not diminished by acknowledging the strengths of others. Imagine two types of leaders, one who demands attention, takes credit for everything, and refuses to acknowledge mistakes, and another who listens, values input, and readily admits when they are wrong. Which one earns true respect? The answer is obvious. Humility fosters connection, trust, and wisdom, things that arrogance can never achieve. Humility also frees us from the exhausting need for validation. When we let go of the idea that we must always be right, always be admired, we become lighter, freer, more at peace. The Stoics remind us that we do not control how others perceive us, only how we act. If our actions are rooted in integrity, we have nothing to prove. So, how do we cultivate humility? By becoming lifelong students. By recognizing that every person we meet knows something we do not. By shifting our focus from, how can I be the best, to, how can I serve? When we lead with humility, respect follows naturally. The world does not need more people desperate to be seen, it needs more people willing to listen, to learn, and to grow. Humility is not about thinking less of yourself, it is about thinking beyond yourself. And that is where true greatness begins. The Stoic strength, mastering patience in a world of chaos. Patience is not just about waiting, it's about how we wait. It's about how we endure challenges, disappointments, and frustrations without letting them break us. In a world that glorifies speed, instant gratification, and quick results, patience has become a forgotten virtue. But to the Stoics, patience was a mark of strength, a sign of true mastery over oneself. Life is unpredictable. No matter how much we plan, control, or prepare, things will go wrong. People will disappoint us. Obstacles will arise. If we react impulsively, letting anger, frustration, or anxiety take over, we surrender our peace. But when we cultivate patience, we gain power over our own minds. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic thinkers, ruled an empire through years of war, political turmoil, and personal loss. Despite the chaos surrounding him, his writings and meditations reflect an unwavering patience. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. He understood that the key to patience was accepting what he could not control and choosing to respond with wisdom rather than emotion. Why is patience so rare today? We live in an age where everything moves fast. Technology has conditioned us to expect instant results. If a video doesn't load in 3 seconds, we get annoyed. If someone doesn't reply to our message immediately, we feel ignored. We are constantly reacting instead of reflecting. But what if, instead of rushing, we embraced the moment? What if, instead of demanding immediate answers, we learn to wait with grace? Patience does not mean passivity. It does not mean accepting mistreatment or never taking action. Rather, it means choosing when and how to act. It means recognizing that delayed gratification leads to greater rewards, that some battles are not worth fighting, and that wisdom often comes from stillness, not from speed. Imagine standing in traffic, late for an important meeting. You can honk, curse, stress, but does that change anything? Or you can breathe, accept what is, and use the time to reflect. One response drains your energy, the other preserves your peace. Patience is not about changing the world, it's about changing how you experience it. Cultivating patience in daily life. Pause before reacting. When something upsets you, take a breath. Give yourself space to respond thoughtfully rather than emotionally. Embrace discomfort. Growth takes time. Strength is built through resistance, not ease. Focus on the long game. What truly matters is not immediate success but sustained progress. Trust the process. Some things unfold on their own timeline. Rushing them often leads to regret. A Stoic is not impatient because a Stoic understands, we do not control time, circumstances, or people. But we do control our mindset. Patience is the key to composure, to resilience, to an unshakable inner peace. It is not weakness, it is one of the greatest strengths we can possess. The Stoic strength, the power of kindness. In a world that often mistakes kindness for weakness, the Stoic understands that true power lies in remaining compassionate despite adversity. Kindness is not a passive virtue, it is an active force, requiring discipline, courage, and self-mastery. To be kind when it is easy is one thing. To be kind when faced with hostility, rejection, or indifference, that is the mark of true strength. The misunderstanding of kindness. Society often equates kindness with being naive, submissive, or soft. We admire boldness, dominance, and those who win at all costs. But the Stoics saw kindness as something far deeper, a reflection of inner stability. They understood that those who react with cruelty or arrogance are often ruled by their own emotions. The truly strong person is the one who remains unwavering in their character, regardless of how others behave. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, governed with patience and fairness despite the betrayals and hardships he faced. He wrote in Meditations, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." To Marcus, kindness was not about seeking approval or expecting something in return, it was a commitment to personal excellence. The courage to be kind. It's easy to be kind to those who are kind to us. But what about those who wrong us? What about the rude cashier, the impatient driver, the boss who never acknowledges our hard work? Stoicism teaches us that we do not control others, we only control how we respond. If someone treats us unfairly, reacting with anger only fuels negativity. Responding with kindness, however, disarms hostility and protects our peace. Consider a fire, if you throw wood onto it, it grows. If you stop feeding it, it dies. Negativity is the same. By choosing kindness, we refuse to fuel the cycle of conflict. This does not mean tolerating abuse or letting others walk over us. True kindness is balanced with wisdom. It means standing firm in our values without becoming bitter or resentful. The ripple effect of kindness. Every small act of kindness matters. A simple smile, a moment of patience, a word of encouragement, these things create ripples. We never know how deeply our kindness might impact someone's life. Perhaps the stranger we held the door for was having a terrible day. Perhaps the coworker we complimented was doubting themselves. Kindness has the power to heal in ways we may never see. But kindness is not just about how we treat others, it's also about how we treat ourselves. Are we patient with our own mistakes? Do we speak to ourselves with compassion or with harsh criticism? The way we treat ourselves shapes how we treat the world. When we practice self-kindness, we develop the emotional resilience to extend that kindness to others. Choosing kindness, choosing strength. Pause before reacting. Kindness is a choice, not an impulse. See others as human. Everyone has struggles we cannot see. Be kind to yourself. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Act without expectation. True kindness seeks nothing in return. The Stoic knows that kindness is not about weakness, it is about wisdom. It is not about being liked, it is about being aligned with one's principles. To be kind in a world that can be harsh is not to be naive. It is to be powerful. The Stoic's perspective, the power of gratitude. In a world that constantly pushes us to desire more success, more wealth, more recognition, it is easy to feel as if we are always lacking something. The mind, left unchecked, naturally gravitates toward what we do not have rather than what we do. But the Stoic understands that gratitude is not merely a fleeting emotion, it is a discipline, a conscious shift in perspective that allows us to cultivate inner peace, regardless of our circumstances. Gratitude as a shield against negativity. Disrespect, hardship, and misfortune are inevitable. We cannot control the actions of others or the unpredictable twists of fate, but we can control how we frame our experiences. The Stoics taught that gratitude is one of the most powerful tools for resilience. It allows us to focus on what we have rather than what we lack, shielding us from unnecessary suffering. Marcus Aurelius, in his personal writings, reminded himself daily to be grateful for the simple things, the ability to think, to breathe, to learn, to love. He understood that gratitude was not about ignoring pain or pretending that struggles do not exist, rather, it was about shifting perspective, choosing to see obstacles as lessons and hardships as opportunities for growth. The mind's default mode, and how to change it. The human mind is wired for survival, which often means it fixates on what is missing or what could go wrong. This instinct served our ancestors well when facing physical dangers, but in modern life, it often leads to chronic dissatisfaction, anxiety, and unnecessary suffering. Gratitude is the antidote. By training ourselves to focus on what we already have, our health, our relationships, our ability to think and grow, we break free from the endless cycle of wanting and comparing. We become less susceptible to external negativity, including the opinions of others. Why should an insult from a stranger ruin our day when we have so much to be grateful for? Why should one minor inconvenience outweigh the countless gifts we take for granted? Daily gratitude as a Stoic practice. Gratitude is not something we should leave to chance, it must be cultivated intentionally. Seneca advised keeping a journal to reflect on life's blessings each day. Whether it is the warmth of the sun on our face, the comfort of a friend's words, or simply the fact that we are alive in this moment, there is always something to be grateful for. Here are some ways to integrate gratitude into daily life. Begin the day with gratitude. Before getting out of bed, think of 3 things you appreciate. Reframe difficulties. Instead of resenting challenges, see them as opportunities to grow stronger. Express it. Tell someone you appreciate them. Gratitude strengthens relationships. End the day with reflection. Write down one good thing that happened, no matter how small. Gratitude as strength. A grateful mind is an unshakable mind. When we focus on what we have rather than what we lack, we become resilient. We are no longer at the mercy of circumstances or the opinions of others. The Stoic does not wait for happiness to come from the outside, they create it from within. And gratitude is their foundation.